Weaponizing the weather. Coming up next on Deceptions of the Ages News. Hello everybody and welcome to Deceptions of the Ages News. Today we have a special report, and this report is called Weaponizing the Weather. And as you can see, I'm standing in Seattle. It's freezing cold. Never happens here. What's going on? Well, we're going to talk about that in a second, but before we do, let's go ahead and thank some of our new subscribers. And we want to encourage you, if you haven't subscribed yet to our channel, please do so. We have a lot of amazing videos, and we cover the mysteries behind all the major conspiracy topics, especially those that cover Latter-day Saints or Mormons, extraterrestrials or Freemasons, all the subjects of my book, Deceptions of the Ages, Mormons, Freemasons, and Extraterrestrials. So please consider a sponsorship on Patreon. And now let's talk about weaponizing the weather. Well, look around me right here. This is a rather unique spot. It's also a very important spot because this is what we call Redmond, Washington. Now, right up on the hill there is the Microsoft campus. Up the street is Boeing, and you have Google, and this is the center of basically high-tech America outside of Silicon Valley. So, what does that have to do with the weather? Well, it has to do with a lot of information that's being put out. Now, this is an important spot for another reason. 10,000 years ago, there was the oldest uncovered civilization living in the Northwest was found right here in Redmond, Washington, not far from this site. Now, why is 10,000 years ago important? Well, now we're going to start talking about the truth about global warming and how they're weaponizing the weather. First thing you have to understand is that all scientists understand, at least climatologists understand, based on studies that have been done, that the last ice age did not come about gradually, it came about suddenly. And how we know that is because they found woolly mammoths with warm weather vegetation in their stomachs, but they were frozen in ice. So basically what that means, it started snowing and it never stopped. And where did that happen? It happened here, because before 10,000 years ago, I would be standing underneath a mile of ice. This was all a huge ice sheet. And what people don't understand about global warming, or whenever anybody talks about the weather, is that the Earth naturally has these cycles, whether it's caused by a solar minimum or not. These things came about before cars and global warming was even talked about. It's just a natural cycle of the Earth. So the truth is that global warming is not global warming. And I'm not saying that it's not happening. I'm not saying that it is happening. I'm just saying the fact of the matter is the Earth warms and it cools. And now, thanks to what is called a solar minimum, the Earth is cooling. But what are they trying to do with that? They're trying to weaponize and get you scared on the media about something that has to do with global warming while this is actually happening. So what does this really mean? It just means that you have a lot of politicians who see a way to make money, get power, and scare people by talking about things that don't matter, when things that do matter, such as these kinds of conditions that nobody warned anybody about. They talked about global warming, and then bam, we're in the middle of some kind of major freeze. This happened back in the 1800s, and it happened in the early part of the Dark Age, or the late part of the Dark Ages, which sent the Vikings going south looking for better farmland. So I want you to understand on Deceptions of the Ages News that this weather thing, especially because we have the ability to manipulate the weather through HAARP and chemtrails and all that, is not what they're telling you. And the thing that you really need to be afraid of is not the rising tides or the oceans, is the fact that at some point in time, the earth will warm to a point and then it's going to cool. Now, have we reached that? It's anybody's guess. But look around me right now. The last time this happened in Washington State was 70 years ago. So I grew up here. It's never happened. My truck here, I've bought this in Alaska, and I have never put this truck in four-wheel drive in Washington State except to go out four-wheel driving. So something's going on, and something big is happening. And unfortunately, they're not telling you the truth. So please stay subscribed to my channel. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And go ahead and check out our podcast on Books in Hindsight, where we talk to the latest and the greatest in authors. So this is Deceptions of the Ages News. And we'll see you next time.